Why do we keep doing the same things over and over again? You know we should exercise more, eat better, and spend less time on our phones. So why don't we? In this video, we're going to explore 8 simple ideas from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, to help you build good habits and break bad ones. Part 1. Systems over goals. Here's a question for you. Imagine you have a close friend who has made similar resolutions to yours for the new year. They want to get in shape, read more books, and start a business. But as we all know, January turns into February, and pretty soon, their resolutions become a distant memory. You ask them how it's going, and they tell you that they failed to achieve any of their goals. How do you respond? If you're anything like me, you'll probably say something like, "Hey, it's okay. Just set some new goals for next month and try again." But if you look at these goals from a different angle, you can see that they are not only unrealistic, but also unachievable. For example, how exactly are they supposed to get in shape? One of my favorite analogies in Atomic Habits is the comparison between two people, both of whom are trying to climb Mount Everest. The first person sets a goal to reach the top. On the other hand, the second person creates a plan to tackle the mountain day by day. Who do you think will be more successful? Well, according to James Clear, the answer is obvious. The second person. Why? Because their success depends not on whether they achieve a goal, but on whether they follow a good system every day. So instead of focusing on goals, which are often arbitrary and out of our control, we should focus on systems, which are the processes and routines that we follow consistently. A goal is a desired outcome, but a system is what we do to get there. And it's important to note that sometimes, even if we follow the best system, we may not achieve our desired outcome. But by focusing on the process rather than the result, we can increase our chances of success and stay motivated along the way. Part 2. Identity-based habits. James Clear suggests that the key to forming strong habits is to connect them to our sense of identity. In other words, we should think about how a particular habit will fit into the story we tell ourselves about who we are. For example, if you want to become a runner, you should focus on the benefits of running for your identity as a runner, such as feeling fitter and stronger, rather than just thinking of it as a way to burn calories. Similarly, if you want to develop a habit of reading, think of it as a way to become smarter and more cultured, rather than just as a way to pass time. This is because when we link habits to our identity, we make them more meaningful to us, and we become more motivated to maintain them. So next time you're trying to form a new habit, ask yourself how it fits into the story you tell yourself about who you are. Part 3. The 4 laws of behavior change. Now let's discuss the 4 laws of behavior change. Each law is associated with a cue, reward, craving, and routine. These 4 elements work together to create a habit loop that drives our behavior. To make a habit automatic, we need to design our environment in a way that makes the habit obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Let's take the example of making reading more of a priority in our lives. Here's how the 4 laws can help. First, make it obvious. Place a book on your bedside table or next to your bed, so that it's the first thing you see when you go to sleep. You can also use technology to your advantage by downloading an audiobook app and listening to books while commuting or exercising. The key is to make the habit visible and accessible, so that it's easy to start. Second, make it attractive. If you want to make reading more attractive, join a book club or find a reading buddy who can motivate you to read more. You can also make it more appealing by reading books that you are genuinely interested in and rewarding yourself with a nice cup of tea after finishing a chapter. The idea here is to associate positive emotions with the habit so that it becomes something you look forward to. Third, make it easy. Don't try to read for an hour right away. Start with just 5 minutes and gradually build up from there. Make sure you have a comfortable place to read where you won't be interrupted. You can also make it easier by breaking down the habit into smaller steps, such as reading 1 page a day. Fourth, make it satisfying. Reward yourself for completing the habit. You could treat yourself to a nice meal or buy yourself a new book. You could also make it more satisfying by tracking your progress and celebrating your accomplishments. The idea here is to reinforce the habit loop by providing a positive reward that makes you want to repeat the behavior. Part 4. Habit stacking. One of the most effective ways to build new habits is through a technique called habit stacking, which involves linking a new behavior to an existing routine. Here's how it works. Choose a current habit that you already have, such as brushing your teeth in the morning, and identify a new habit you want to build, such as meditating for 10 minutes. Now, you would stack the new habit onto your existing routine by meditating immediately after brushing your teeth. The idea is to capitalize on the cues and rewards of your existing habit to make the new one more automatic. For example, after you finish brushing your teeth, you can reward yourself with a few minutes of quiet reflection and calm before starting your day. You can also use habit stacking to break bad habits by replacing them with new ones. For example, if you want to spend less time on social media, you could replace scrolling through Instagram with reading a book or going for a walk. By stacking new habits onto existing routines, you can make it easier to stick to your goals and improve your life. Part 5. Breaking bad habits. We can apply the same for laws of behavior change to break bad habits. Just as we did with good habits, we can make bad habits invisible by removing cues. For example, deleting social media apps from our phone or turning off notifications. We can also make them unattractive by changing our environment. For example, putting away junk food or surrounding ourselves with positive influences. Bad habits can become more difficult by increasing the friction involved. For example, requiring a 10-minute warm-up before watching TV or locking our phone in a drawer during work hours. Finally, we can make bad habits unsatisfying by finding alternatives that are less pleasurable. For example, choosing a relaxing activity like yoga instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media. By following these strategies, we can reduce the appeal of bad habits and make it easier to stick to our goals. Remember that breaking bad habits takes time and effort, but it's possible with the right mindset and strategies. Part 6. Conclusion. So remember that small improvements, when repeated daily, can lead to significant changes over time. Even just a 1% improvement in a habit each day can compound over the long term, leading to extraordinary results. As James Clear writes, "You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." So instead of obsessing over goals, focus on creating a system around your habits and make them a part of your identity. Use the 4 laws of behavior change to make your habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. And consider habit stacking to build new habits and break old ones. Small habits, repeated daily, become unstoppable. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more book summaries, hit the subscribe button and check out the motivation playlist for more videos. Now it's time to take action. What small habit will you start today and stick to it for the next 90 days? Tell us in the comments below.